Okay, so good evening to all. So we'll be continuing with the last time's lecture, which we were uh, doing for the materials and textures. So in the last lecture, I had told you the difference between what is a soft texture, then what is a hard texture, then what is a rough texture, and what is a smooth texture. So all these differences we had seen, and also we had seen the various we'll say examples of these textures. Like for example, soft was for cotton, smooth was for granite. Then we had seen hard was for wood, rough was for say brick. So all these various examples we saw. Now in the exam they are going to ask you to identify a particular texture just by visual representation. That means that they are going to show you an image, for example this brick image, and they are going to ask you to identify what type of texture these bricks have or what type of textures these stones have. So that is what they are going to ask you. Also they might ask you to identify the material. So that is a very simple and straightforward question, that they show you an image and they ask you to identify it. But the chances of that type of questions being asked in the NATA exam are low, but we cannot deny it. So we will practice that, because since the entire exam is made in MCQ for this year and there are questions for 1 mark, so these questions can definitely be asked for a single mark. Okay. So now we will be going ahead with the textures. So the first texture which we are going to see is a brick texture. So all of us have seen bricks some or the other time in our life. So bricks are basically made out of clay. So clay is going to be molded, right, in a form of a cuboid, and then it is going to be baked, right, to a certain temperature to form a brick. So this is how these bricks are formed. Generally the size of bricks, so if we compare it with length, then it will be 9 inches, right? So if we like check its height, then it will be 110 mm. So just half of that, so probably 4.5 inches. And its width will be half, and height will be even smaller than that. So height will be around 3 inches, 2.5 to 3 inches will be its height. Width will be around say 4.5, and the length will be 9 inches. So that is how the standard brick dimensions are. Now since in the syllabus they have mentioned that the students are supposed to know the basics of building technology and its materials, so that's why I am going to tell you the sizes of the materials as well. Now how are these bricks stuck together? Now this is a wall, correct? So if I want to make a wall, I will have to stack the bricks on top of each other. So that is the logic which we use. Now if you carefully observe, while stacking, smaller faces of bricks are arranged in one sequence, say this row, and larger faces of bricks are arranged in the next row. Now why is this logic repeated again and again? So if you see that shorter, we'll say shorter face you will see first, longer face again you will see, then again you will see a shorter face, again longer face. Now that is done to stagger the joint, okay? To stagger the vertical joint. Now just imagine there is a vertical line here, so this is one vertical joint, and there is a vertical line here and here. So this line is not continuous. So if you see that it is broken, one line here, one line here, one here, and same way that pattern goes on staggering till the end of the wall. Now what that staggering does is that it will help the wall to be stable, and it will prevent the wall from falling down. So that is why we give the staggering of the bricks. Now what we use to stick the bricks, so that is what we need to understand. Now the way we stick paper, so how we stick paper, we stick it with Fevicol or say by sellotape. So now in this case brick is a little heavier material, so we cannot stick it with an adhesive like Fevicol. So instead of that we are using cement adhesive, you can call it. So it is called as cement mortar. Mortar means that it is a mixture of cement and sand. So these things you note down. Mortar is a mixture of cement and sand, and that is used where it is used as a say adhesive agent in between two bricks. So if I want to lay one layer of bricks and top of that I want to lay another layer of bricks, what I will apply in between will be the cement mortar, and then I will apply the next layer of bricks. So the best example is to observe. If you see sometimes that the mason, now who is the mason? लोकल लँग्वेज मध्ये आपण त्याला गवंडी म्हणतो. सो गवंडी म्हणजे कोण? तर द पर्सन हु इज गोइंग टू ऍक्च्युअली पोस्ट द ब्रिक्स ऑन द साइड. सो ही इज द पर्सन हु इज गोइंग टू ऍक्च्युअली ऍक्ट and he is going to lay the bricks one on top of each other. So he is called as a mason. And whatever we see here, this structure, this is called as a masonry. So it is a output of the mason, and that is why it is called as the masonry. And since it is brick, it will be called as brick masonry. So very simple to understand. Okay. Now where all can bricks be used? So that is the way you have to think. So not only identify, but you have to think about the uses of this material. So first of all, it will be used to build walls. So as all of us know, bricks can be easily used to build walls. Secondly, it can be used to build columns also. So small height columns, not too high also, say 6 feet, up to 6 feet. You can construct a column out of bricks. Then also, bricks can be used to create arches. So if you have seen a arch sometimes, so that will be used to create arches also. So just give me a minute. If I find an example of a brick arch, I will like to show that to you, so that you will understand what I am trying to say. Now where all other places you can use bricks, so that is how you have to think. So have you ever seen some waterproofing of a terrace probably, or of a toilet? So just in case, if you have observed, I am not saying that you should observe or you must have observed, but just in case, while going here and there, if you have observed a waterproofing of something, so you will observe that bricks are laid at the base of the waterproofing. So if you have not seen, you can still observe it later on. Okay, just give me a minute. Brick arches. Yes, great. So I have found an example here. So that will enhance your understanding. So something of this type, semicircular opening, will be called as an arch. So that is what we have to try and understand. So till the let's not wait till the image loads. We will go ahead with the presentation. So yes, so I think you have understood the form at least, how an arch looks. So it is a semicircular arrangement. Okay. Yes, so this is what we just saw. Bricks are chiefly made from clay and shale, where clay is a plastic earth consisting mainly of sand and alumina, while shale is laminated deposit of clay rock. Bricks are obtained by molding clay in rectangular blocks of even sizes. So it is similar to a cake. If you want to make a cake, what you will do? You will put the the basic preparation into a mold, and then you will bake it. Same way with the brick. So light in weight and good replacement for stones. So this is very important in places where they are not easily available. So in some cases, stones are very difficult to. Okay, so some feedback has come. Voice is lagging. Okay. So I will just rejoin the meeting. Please wait till then. Please wait. Okay, so now am I audible? Can you just say yes if I am audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So You should give me
No,
this
sir.
feedback time and again if something like this happens, because these things are out of our hands. These are technological problems which we cannot help sometimes. Okay, just a minute. The presentation, the screen is getting shared. Okay, right. So let's resume. So they are light in weight and a good replacement for stones, as they are told, and in places where they are not easily available. Different sizes of molds are available for different sizes of bricks. So there are various sizes of bricks which are available. Some are 9 inches in length, some are 6 inches in length. So it depends that what type of brick you want to use. For uniformity in construction and best results with ease, the size of the brick is standardized. So generally if you go to a place where bricks are manufactured, so what is that place called? That place is called as a kiln. 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 So in local language त्याला आपण वीट भट्टी म्हणतो. So same thing is called as a kiln. So that is the place where bricks are baked. And they are called modular bricks. So they have standard dimensions with 19 centimeter by 9 by 9. Fine. Now we will go to the next material. So this is called wood. Now first of all we have to go back to the origin of wood, where we obtain wood from. We obtain wood from trees. So we have to cut the trees, then we have to process it, and then after processing only we can use it for our whatever construction or furniture. So you have to try and understand that. Why we have to process that wood is because when we cut like a tree, so there is some moisture content which is there in the tree, moisture content, and you have to understand that whenever there is moisture, there are going to be fungus, which is going to be formed on the wood or inside the wood, and that is going to spoil the wood. So that is what is very very important. So anything which is going to harm the wood, that we have to remove first. So there is some amount of sap and some amount of moisture inside that wood. So when we process it, we are removing that sap and moisture to get a good quality wood. And then we can obtain wood in various formats. One is that we can cut the logs and use them as we can say full pieces of wood, cut into a perfect size for door frames or window frames, or actually manufacturing doors or windows from it. Or we can process the wood to get plywood sheets, so which we generally use for furniture in our houses. Or we can get veneer sheets out of wood, veneer sheets. Or we can get something called as say medium density fiber board. So fiber board you must have heard about. Veneer, laminate, fiber board. These are common words which are generally displayed on banners outside these stores. So this is your observation that what all is available in that store related to wood. So just a minute, I have lost my connection again. Internet issue. Okay, so there is some problem with the internet connection, so that's why this lag and some timeout is happening. Okay, so I will again restart my presentation. Fine. So we were here. So what all varieties of uses of wood are there? So that is what we were talking on. So we saw that actual wood, plywood, laminate, veneer, or we'll say fiber board. So all these are the various varieties of wood which we can use. Now, how a wooden texture looks to your eyes? So generally wooden texture will look something like this, which you see on the screen. So it has these type of, we will say, grains. So these are called as grains of wood, and these type of, we will say, textures, special textures on its surface. So if you want to identify a wooden element or wood as a material, you can look for these lines, which are curved lines, which you can see here on the wood, or these small, we will say, indications which you see here. So these are, say, the indications of wood. Now wood is available in various colors. So as per the tree it is obtained from. So some trees are red in color, some trees are brown in color, some trees are a little whitish in color. So from which tree it is obtained, so that will make the color of wood. Now wood as a material has been used by man or by human being from we'll say many years. So wood was one of the basic materials to make shelter. So that is what you have to try and understand. So one of the oldest and most commonly used materials for construction all over the world is wood. So I had given you an example that if I want to construct a house in a jungle, then naturally instead of making a concrete house or buying glass, I will make a wood, say wooden structure, because it is that material is readily available, and I will plant few more trees to make sure that I am giving something back to nature also. So there are certain tree laws which like allow you to cut trees, but they also say that you have to plant the same number of trees so that you give something back to nature. Now due to the availability and easiness in construction, this can be used for indoor as well as outdoor purposes. So very less amount of skilled labor will be required for this. So say local people can also make a structure out of wood with common sense. So there are two different types of wood available in different categories: shapes, sizes, quality, etc. So they are hardwood and softwood. So these are the two types of wood which are available. So hardwood means that there are oak wood or walnut wood, cherry wood, teak wood, maple wood, mahogany, right? So all these are examples of hardwood. And softwood means pine, spruce, fir, redwood, cypress, cedar. So all these are say examples of softwood. So you have to remember these we will say types of wood: hardwood and softwood, right? Okay, so the next type of wood is plywood. So plywood is the form of wood used in modern construction. So it is obtained by gluing the sheets of veneers together. Now what is a veneer? You have to try and understand. Veneer means that something which is there on the surface of a bark of a tree. Now what is the surface? So that is the top portion of the bark of a tree. So that slice of the bark, the top, we say the top slice of the bark. So that will be called as the veneer. So that's why veneers are costlier than laminates. So why? Because laminates are artificially manufactured, we'll say hard pieces of paper. So that can be manufactured in an ample, we'll say quantity. So as per our requirement. But veneers are natural. So that's why they are costly. Okay. So now we move on to the next material, which is glass. Now you can see two types of glass here. So one is called as the frosted glass. What is the meaning of the word frosted glass? Frosted means that it has a certain texture on that. So it is a sort of a rough texture which is made on the glass. What is the advantage of doing this rough texture? So first thing is that it will increase the strength somehow of the glass, and second is that you will get a translucent surface, that light can pass but vision cannot pass. So something like that. So that type of a surface you can get by frosted glass. So there are various we'll say requirements of glass. Say in a showroom. So in a showroom you will never use this type of a glass. Why? Because you want the outside people to see what is going on. But for a toilet window, yes, probably you will use this type of a window because you don't want people to see what is going on inside, but you want light to come inside. So something like that. So you have to try and understand its application, what I am telling. Now this is called as a clear glass. Clear glass means a glass which is transparent and I can see the indoors. So this type of glass is used in say offices or showrooms. So in some kind of places you have glass films. So glass films, what they do is they hide some portion of the clear glass and keep only some portion open. So that facility also you can have. Okay. Now we'll go to the next. Correct. So these are some applications of glass, as you can see here. So glass has a variety of uses in a building. So if we see from the simple use, so simple use of glass which comes to our mind is for a window pane. For a window pane we use glass, simple use. Second, you can use glass for a door. So instead of a wooden door, you can use a glass door. Then you can make walls out of glass. So if you can think that way. Glass blocks, if you have ever seen glass block walls. So instead of brick you use glass blocks. Or you can make glass partitions like this. So as shown in the image, glass partitions. Something like this. So in modern toilets, you generally have glass partitions in between the dry area. Dry area means where the commode is fixed and the basin is fixed. And wet area. So what is the wet area of bathroom? Where we have a bath. So that will be called as a wet area of a bathroom. So generally in modern toilets we have two such spaces, dry space and wet space. So in between those we can insert a glass partition like that. So these are some of the uses of glass. Sometimes in modern buildings glass is also used for flooring. So there is a glass bridge in China. So you can search about that glass bridge after the class is over. Okay. Or I can try and just find an image for you. So if you can just wait for a second. Glass bridge in China. So that is a very interesting bridge. So it is a suspension bridge basically. Suspension means it is suspended on basic supports and it is having a glass floor. So the image is loading, till then we will continue. So these are some of the types of glasses. Annealed glass, toughened glass. Now where will you use toughened glass? So suppose you are making a very costly design. Costly design means the cost of construction is huge and you want to make sure that because of some stone throwing incident or some ball hitting the particular glass or something like that, my glass shouldn't break. So that is what you feel. So for that you will use a toughened glass. Or nowadays in vehicles also we have this toughened glass which is used for our windows. Laminated glass means it has a tint on the glass, black colored glass or something like that. That will be called as laminated glass. So these are typical glass examples which we see in day-to-day life. Okay. So we will see the example of the glass bridge. Okay, yes, so I found one image. So look at this image now. So you will see that the floor of this glass is, floor of the bridge is made in glass. So you can imagine that we'll say the thrill of walking on this bridge. So there is a complete valley at the base. A huge valley is there and it is connecting the two mountains from one end to another, this glass bridge. So while walking from this glass bridge, you can imagine the type of thrill or excitement you will feel that you are seeing the valley and you are walking over it directly. So this is a special effect which glass can give you, just in case. So you can search more on that bridge later on after the class. So this is where the curiosity comes into picture. So that is supposed to be done by you. Okay. Now we'll see applications of glass. So we have already seen. So this is a glass facade. Facade means face of a building, front face of a building. That is called as a glass facade. Now in we'll say in modern days or in foreign countries, you will see that glass is extensively used for the exterior part of the building. Now suppose in say United States of America, where it snows or snow blizzards happen during winter. So in those days, those 2 to 3 months, they require heat to come inside their say houses or inside their offices. That's why they make buildings which are having glass facades, glass faces. But the same building, if we were to construct in some hot region, so in that case, glass wouldn't be an appropriate material. So we can think of some alternatives for glass. So in buildings. Now if you want a transparent surface, then yes, you will have to use glass. For example, showroom. Right? So you want 100% visibility of what is displayed inside. So there if you make a stone wall, then nobody will understand that what is displayed inside. So that is simple logic, common sense. Okay. Now we will go for the next material, which is bamboo. So bamboo is also a very interesting material which is used in buildings. So bamboo is a naturally occurring material. So bamboo is generally planted, then it is cut after it grows to a height of say 6 feet, 8 feet, and then it is dried or it is processed to make structures. Structures means not too tall structures, but say ground floor plus first floor or ground floor plus two floors, something like that. So you can make such structures out of bamboo. So they can be called as temporary structures or structures which we don't want to stay forever. So those can definitely be made in bamboo. So what is the advantage of using this material? First, that it is very, very light in weight. So suppose tomorrow there is some earthquake which happens in certain region and a fast relief is required for the people for whom the destruction has happened. Suppose their houses have collapsed or something like that. So they want a fast shelter which they urgently require. So in that case you can make shelters out of bamboo very, very fast, and they will be light in weight also. So you can actually lift the structure from one place and transport it to other place. So that is an advantage of these type of structures. Also, so that is one use. The second use is that in normal circumstances, you can use bamboo in landscaping. So if you want to make your landscape look interesting, or you want to create some internal partitions, walls, so in that case bamboo can be used. So it will not give you total privacy. It will just give you semi-private space. Semi-private means your voice will be heard outside, but it will at least create a partition, an interesting partition. So these are bamboo textures. So if you are asked to identify such type of material, it will be bamboo. So bamboo can be used as a full bamboo, or it can be cut in lengthwise, and it can be used as a bamboo half. So it depends how you are using it. Now these are some excellent structures which are made in bamboo. So there are many more. So I can show you some great examples. So only bamboo has been used to make these materials. Bamboo and probably some we'll say steel sheets or say aluminum sheets have been used here. Or here there is a combination of bamboo and thatch which is being used for a structure which is located on a shore or say in a jungle. So this is how the natural effect it will give you. That structure will give you a natural effect. Instead of making a concrete structure, you can make a bamboo structure to get a natural effect. Okay. Now the next type of, we'll say, material is going to be fabric. Now here there are, say, a variety of fabric is available. Some fabrics are soft, some are going to be rough to touch, some are going to be, we'll say, like a little thorny to touch, like this. So especially the ones which we keep outside our bathrooms. So those will be a little rough in nature. So these are various fabric textures which will be available or which we see day to day life. Okay, so the next texture which we are going to see, or the material which we are going to see, is steel. Now steel is a widely used material in modern industry or modern construction. So you must know steel as a material. Now how is it used? In what form is it used? So it is used in form of steel bars. Okay? Steel bars are available. They are available in various, we'll say, diameters. Okay? So some are available in 6 mm, some are available in 18 mm, 24 mm, 36 mm. So it depends on where you are using those steel bars. Suppose you are using it just for support purpose, then you will use a lesser diameter of steel. But if there are steel bars which will be used for a metro column, you have seen metro construction going around it, then it will be a thick steel bar, of course, because it is a tall structure first of all, and secondly it will have to carry the load of a full metro train, so on top of it. So you can imagine how strong that member has to be. So steel can be used in form of bars. Generally on site you will see that the steel is laid like this for when we are casting the slab. Now the slab which is on top of you right now, so it is made out of which material? So it is made out of two materials. One is concrete and second is steel. So what are these two materials doing up there? So first of all you have to understand that concrete as a material is good in taking compressive forces, and steel as a material is good in taking tensile forces. So whenever you are talking about the surface, you have to always talk in combination of compressive forces and tensile forces. Only then you will find that the surface is stable and it doesn't bend or crack or anything. So that's why we are using it in combination always, concrete and steel together. Now what is its combination called? So that is a question which can be asked in an ATA exam, since they have specified materials. What is the combination of steel and concrete called? So it is called as RCC. So you can write it down, RCC. R stands for reinforcement, and CC stands for cement concrete. So reinforced cement concrete means RCC. It is used for our basic structural members. So what are the basic structural members of a building, if you think? So what is the skeleton of a building made out of? So it is made out of the footing. Footing means the base of the building, then the columns, then beams, slab. So all these are the basic elements of or the skeleton of a building. So these are the places where you require reinforced cement concrete, a combination of steel and concrete together. So we will see that. For now you just remember the full form. So they might ask you a question on that. Now steel is available in these type of we'll say channel sections. So what are channel sections? They are C-shaped or I-shaped. That's why they are called channel sections. So you can find these channel sections used in, say, factories, that is industries, or buildings in which the span is going to be large. That, for example, an aircraft manufacturing factory. So you can imagine aircraft manufacturing factory. So that aircraft is such a huge thing. So if you take an example of an A320 Neo, which is generally used by many airlines nowadays. So to manufacture that, how much width will be required? So that aircraft should be, say, fitting into it, plus the machinery, plus people should be able to work in it. So such a huge space is required. So that time you will use steel, or sometimes you will use concrete, but most of the structures are made in steel only in that case. Okay. Or say in America or say foreign countries, this trend is already there. This trend of using steel structures is there for many years already. But now in India also, this trend is picking up. That instead of making a typical concrete beam slab column structure, people are preferring steel structures. So they are a little costly, but they are taking less time to be getting erected. So that is the basic advantage of steel structures. They get erected very fast. Now the next material which we will see is concrete blocks. So we already have discussed what is concrete. So concrete is a combination of cement, sand and aggregate mixed in a correct proportion. So that is what concrete means. Now similar to brick, if we prepare a mold and pour the concrete into the mold, once you mix it with water, then you will get such a block, which will be called as a concrete block. Of course, after it sets, so you will have to let the mold set for at least 2 days, and then remove the sides of the molds, and then allow this concrete to gain strength. Okay, so that is a very important factor in concrete. Concrete requires minimum 20 days to gain full strength. So for 20 days, you have to make sure that these blocks are sprayed with water on a daily basis, morning and evening. Only then these blocks will stay so smooth and well finished. If you don't spray water on these blocks, cracks will start developing, surface cracks. Now why that will happen, I will tell you. When you mix cement and water together, so there is a chemical reaction which takes place, and because of that chemical reaction, heat is generated, and because of the heat, so there is a chance that the cracks may develop on the surface of the concrete. So to counter that heat, we have to spray it with water from outside. So this is how a concrete block will be seen. So concrete blocks can be in various types. So this is just one type. So you can have a solid block also without these holes. Solid block is also possible. These holes are serving a purpose. What they are serving the purpose? They are saving on material, of course, because this concrete is not really required. So saving on material happens. So the cost is reduced. You have to think logically. Ultimately, the client is going to pay for the project. Right? So if his cost is getting reduced, then you have to use such techniques, ideas. And secondly, so there is a chance to pass, we will say, reinforcement bars through this, just in case if required. If you want to make a tall wall, there is a chance that you may have to pass reinforcement bars through this. So this is another use of these concrete blocks. Now next, sand. Now you must have seen that river sand, you must have had that experience, and sea sand, you must have had that experience. So just imagine that you have picked up river sand in one hand and sea sand in other hand. So which sand will move out of your hand first? So it will always be sea sand which will quickly move out of your hand. Why? Because it doesn't have friction in between. The particles don't have friction in between. And the same thing if you compare it with river sand, it will take time because the particles are larger in size and they have friction in between because they have some clay in it, clay mixed with it. So if we compare river sand versus sea sand. So which is better sand? So the better sand will be river sand. So we want a sand which will have better cohesion with its particles. Cohesion. So that is important. Sea sand will not have that cohesion. So that's why we are going to always use the river sand in construction. And that also has to be free from impurities and well graded. Free from impurities means what? The organic impurities, like say small pieces of plants or stones, pieces of stones or something like that. So it should be free from all of that. Okay. Yes, this is important. Last one. Sand is indicated by stippling by showing dots. Now what is stippling? You take a pen in hand, black pen, and on the paper you do dot 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 like that. So like you do for biology paper. So that is called stippling. You create dots on a surface. So that is how sands are indicated. So that is a common scene in an exam hall. Some of the student is doing that noise of stippling always. Okay. The next is tiles. So tiles are available in variety of we'll say like there is a wide variety of tiles which is available. So you can go for either ceramic tiles or vitrified tiles, or say the latest ones which are say Italian marble type tiles or stone tiles. So there are so many tiles which are available in the market, or say wooden tiles. So any type of tile you can choose when it comes to flooring. Now where all you require these tiles? So that is what you need to think. So first of all you require for a floor where you walk. Secondly, you require it for walls. If you have seen or observed a kitchen, so what happens behind the ota? So what happens behind the kitchen ota is that you will see tiles which are applied. Why those tiles are applied behind the kitchen ota? That so there is going to be a sink over there, and because of the sink there is going to be use of water, and water will get sprayed on the walls, and the walls might leak in the end. So to avoid that and to make the kitchen look finished, we provide tiles at the back side of the ota, or the part which is just above the kitchen platform, like that. So these are some variety of tiles which you see. They are available in various sizes also. Sometimes tiles are available in 1 feet by 1 feet size. Some are available in 2 by 2 feet size. Up to 8 by 8 feet or 16 by 16 feet. So there are so much large tiles which are available nowadays in market. Grass, yes. So grass can be available in two forms. One is the natural grass which grows in soil, and second is the artificial grass. So that can be used as a surface for, we'll say, terrace gardens, artificial grass, or to create turfs for some sport complex. So you can create artificial grass turfs to make sure that the grass doesn't get spoiled because of rain or anything. So grass is also commonly used material. So it can be used in gardens, it can be used in terraces, it can be used in sports complexes, stadiums, so many places grass can be used. Landscaping. The next is carpets. So where all you can use carpets. So instead of tiles, in places where we'll say structures which are like palaces. So in those places you will see these type of carpets which are installed, and they have a overall soft texture, if you see. Okay, then the next material is cobblestone. Cobblestone is a material which you will use for the flooring of exterior part of your house. So in the interior you have used tiles, but in the exterior just imagine that you use the same tile in the living room in a rainy season. Then what will happen? You will have a skating competition outside. You will slide from the tiles and you will have a fall. Why? Because those tiles are not meant to be used for the exteriors because they are smooth if you touch them. But the tiles which are external, they will be having a rough texture. Why rough texture? Because even though if there is rainfall or the tiles get wet, our legs shouldn't slip from them. So that is say a different type of tile which is required for the exterior. Then next is say an aluminium sheet, corrugated aluminium sheet. So this can be used for roofing purpose. Now what are corrugations? So this profile which you see here, this is called as a corrugation, corrugated surface. Now what is the difference between a plain surface and a corrugated surface? So that I could have showed you better if you were there present physically, but I can still explain. So if this surface was flat, total flat, and if I impose some load from the top, some weight from the top, then what will happen to the flat surface? That load will punch through this flat surface, punch down to this flat surface, and it will come out from the other end. So, and just because of these corrugations, what it does is that these corrugations give it the strength to this surface. And now if I try to punch the hole, it will be very difficult to punch it. Why? Because of this profile. So that is the we'll say beauty of corrugations. So they look also interesting, and secondly, we'll say structurally also they are much stable than the normal flat surface. So that's why they are used for roofing. Now you will understand the logic. Yes, now this is another material which is called glass blocks. So this is used when you want a translucent surface. Translucent means when you want light to pass but you don't want vision to pass. That is called as a translucent surface. Limestone. Limestone can be used as a building stone. So as you see other stones, limestone also can be used. Next. So these are applications of glass blocks again. Next is Mangalore tiles. So you must have seen this in places where there is heavy rainfall or the roof where there is sloping roofs. So suppose you go to Konkan and there it rains very heavily. So whenever it rains heavily, you have to provide a sloping roof. Sloping roof is a must there. So to cover that sloping roof, to give some roofing material, we are going to use this Mangalore tile. So it is a clay tile basically. The next material is going to be steel checkered plate. Now this checkered plate will be again sturdier than a normal steel sheet because of this is a texture on it. So whenever we want some heavy duty we'll say usage, that is in an industry or in or for a surface of a bus or surface of a train or surface of a goods we'll say bridge. So that is the place where you will see such type of plates which are used to give the flooring of it. Then we have wallpapers. Wallpapers are an alternative for paint. So instead of paint, you can directly stick the wallpaper on the wall, and they are available in various designs. And the last one is veneer. Veneer means it is a finishing material. Finishing material means that you paste it from the top. So the original material is different, say plywood or something else, and this is the original material which you stick to give it a finish. Okay. So these are some materials which we have enlisted. Also, there are many materials which are not in this list. So I can give you those names, but I want you to find them. So apart from the materials which we sort in now, you have to create a list of materials which are used in various places in the building. So you can do this simple exercise. Go around your building from your terrace to your ground floor and try to observe small details that which material it may be. So you can also click some photos and send it to us if you have identified them. So you might see flooring made out of stone. You can see a staircase which is made out of steel. You can see many things. You can see PVC as a material. So now I will not disclose all the materials, so that I will leave it to you. So I have given you enough hint by now. Okay. So that exercise you do at home. Okay. So the next part which we are supposed to see today is about this. So I will just introduce this to you, and then we will stop for today. So the name of the topic is view projection to isometric view. View projection to isometric view. Now, what does it mean? So we have learned what is a plan, what is a elevation, what is a 3D view. So look at the question. Say multi-view projection is given. Identify its correct isometric view. So multi-view means what? We are imagining that object from different angles, top, side. So if I am imagining the cube from the top and side, and I am assuming that this is a plan and this is an elevation or side view. So definitely I know that I can rule out certain things. That is, I can rule out this because this is not in the correct proportion. I can rule out this one also because this is also not correct proportion. There is a element which is here, which is not visible anywhere in this. So I can remove this also. So the only thing which remains is the option A. So multi-view means it need not be plan and elevation always. See, it can be two-side elevations also, or it can be one plan, one elevation also. So they will not mention here what it is. So that you have to imagine looking at the 3D object. It will be either of the four sides, that is for sure. It will not be the base. So that I can assure you, because base will be flat. So there is no point in giving multi-viewing. Now here. So from here you can make out that this seems to be a elevation, because there is no top surface here available. So this seems to be elevation or side view, and this seems to be a top view. So there is only one probable option here, which is D. Other proportions are not matching. Then this one we will see. So again it seems to be the same. One elevation is there and one plan is there. So this is also an easy one. Looking at the proportions in plan and looking at the elevational profile, you can easily figure out that this seems to be the elevational profile, and in top you will see it like this, 1 and 2. So these are the only two probable, or only one probable option which is there. Now if you see this, so you try to identify. Can you tell me which will be the correct option in this case? He is saying A. C. Correct. C is right. So why C is right? Because you can see in elevation here. Correct. So this is elevation, and in elevation what you can see is that there is a slant surface and there is nothing coming out here. So that's why it has to be like this. If there was some portion which was shown like this, then A would have been correct. Perfect. So C is right. Okay, now can you identify this one? Which can be the most probable one?
D.
B ka D?
D.
Okay, so you are saying D. So let's look at the proportions. So square, then again it is a square. If you look at this from this side, then it will resemble this figure. So most probably it will be this one only. B will be the correct answer. Okay. Now let's take this one and then we will stop for the day. A, correct. So the objects look very complex, but the answer is pretty simple. If you see in plan, two squares असलेलं एकच आहे, which will be A. This is one square and this is the base square. That's it. Correct? So that's why A will be the answer. Okay. So we'll solve more such type of questions later on. So I just introduced this type to you. Now our next class will be happening on Thursday. For the existing students, we will continue with this pattern Monday, Thursday till a point where we finish the syllabus. And in the last few days, we will have a daily class to we'll say practice more. So I will tell you the date from when we will have a daily class, but at least for 15 to 20 days we should have a continuous class. So that is for sure, so without a break. So in that time we will be practicing a lot of MCQs and solving mock tests in those 15 days. So until and unless you solve the tests, you will not get the feel of the paper. So we will be solving mock tests and daily class we will conduct. Okay, fine. So we'll stop for today and we'll meet on Thursday then. Fine. So good day to all.